Hello everyone, today I'm speaking to Lisa Ollerton, Managing Director of Visana. Hi Lisa.
Hi.
So I met you a few years ago via your business, which is really successful. So I just want to establish from the outset, before we talk about what we're going to talk about, you are a successful businesswoman.
I am. Well, I'd like to think I am, but yeah, it's it's tough being a businesswoman, but I would class myself as being successful.
Brilliant. I would class you as being successful. However, a few years ago, and the reason we're talking today is you joined an MLM, and I just really want to talk about your story, because I think what's interesting about you is you do have a genuine business, so you do understand business. So it's really interesting to hear your perspective about being in an MLM, and this is the first time on camera I've interviewed someone from an MLM. So thank you for agreeing to speak to me, and I'd like to share your story if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with which company did you join, when and why?
So 6 years ago, I joined a company called Visalis, and their strapline was Body by Vi. And my background is marketing and sales corporately. And when I kind of left my corporate job, I was always looking for something, but I didn't know what I was looking for. My husband worked away Monday to Friday. I had 2 toddlers and a teenager. And I was invited to a shake party for which I turned up. I knew from the outset that there was no way that I was going to join this network marketing company. And I knew that that was on the horizon of me being asked. And I didn't have my network in Worthing. My network is in Leicester. And I knew with these companies that you needed to be around your network to be successful. So I did know a little bit about network marketing. And I went to a shake party and left having signed the dotted line and paid my business pack money and joined, like literally I was there an hour and a half.
So can I ask you, so obviously you went in determined that you weren't going to join and you left having parted with money. What changed in that hour?
So the woman that, and actually, of the people that I kind of worked with within said company, obviously I became very good friends with some of them. The lady that I did meet at this particular evening stood at the front of the room, delivered shakes. They tasted great. It was a weight loss opportunity, and she was earning 10 grand a month. And I sat at the back of this room thinking, if she can earn 10 grand a month doing this, then so can I. And that was it. She had a really good corporate job before she did what she was doing. And I was really sucked in and impressed, and thinking that actually somebody of such corporate credibility to be claiming that this is all she did, earning 10 grand a month. It didn't matter that my network was not in Worthing. All it mattered was that, I kind of bought the business pack and I could tap into wherever my network was. Paid my business pack money, and that was it. Off we went for this 10 grand a month.
So what happened after that then? How did you get started?
So you get started by your upline coming to the house, and you start by creating your hit list. It's the only way I can describe it. Top 30 people that you would like to invite to a shake party. Clearly my network was not in Worthing, so I needed to do a lot of stuff on kind of, webinars and videos and calling. And they actually taught you to call these 30 people with a script. At the challenge party is what they called it. You watched a video about how you join the business and how it all worked. And it was like a repeat system. So you invite people to your party, you create shakes, you get them to watch the video, you get your upline to do the presentation, you get, weight loss testimonials once you've built them up. And it's literally just repeat, and then you look for promoters at the party as well. And then you have what's called your chicken list, which are the people that you would never call because they're the people that are not really going to be very impressed with what you're doing. And they're the numbers and the names of the people that you hand over to your upline and they call them for you.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like was the purpose of the party to sell the product or to try and get people in your team?
So the purpose should have been to create clients. But the purpose always ended up, you were earmarking more at the end to have left with team members. And the particular company that I was involved with, and I know that others are a little more softer, this was really hardcore. is that it was more on promoters than it was on clients. So over time, you know, and even my husband, who is a savvy corporate, you know, businessman and also an owner of a business with me, he used to say, this model is not going to work, Lisa, because you have no clients. They're all promoters, and the model is going to tip over. It did tip over in the UK. It was not successful in the end. And I think actually the business has been sold under the radar, but nothing has really been publicly put out in the, you know, in the network marketing space about that business having been sold to another shake company.
Okay, yeah, because when you told me the name, like before we spoke on here, and I looked it up, it's really one I hadn't heard of, which is really unusual because I thought I'd heard them all. So
yeah, it was around for a couple of years in the UK. I went to the launch. So the way that the business would work is that they did pre-launch where they found their ambassadors, and the ambassadors were thrown out to America and learn about the product, and then they were earmarked as ambassadors. But what you didn't know when you joined the business is that they got to their ambassadorship not in the way that a normal promoter would get to be an ambassador. And so you kind of, you know, you're in awe of these ambassadors, and they all wear the ambassador jacket, and they've all got their, you know, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, whatever they are. And you know, whether it be ego or the fact that you want to earn the money, you aspire to these people, and you actually think, you know what, some of them really didn't have anything significant going on in their life before, and they've achieved this status. So actually, if they can, then, you know, why can't I?
you often see that a lot. I see quite senior MLM reps in different companies say, you know, I used to be a childminder or whatever. I used to work in a supermarket just like you, and look at what I have now. And sometimes when you dig into their stories, it's not actually true. They didn't have those jobs, but it seems to be that sort of the fairy tale that's sold to people to keep them hoping they're going to make it.
And when you join, you're always told to get that story. You know, what is your why? Why are you doing this? And oh, Lisa, that's not strong enough. Get a stronger why. No, that's not strong enough. Get a stronger why. It was very, you know, kind of hardcore stories sell, and you've got to portray this image of this, you know, lifestyle on social media that actually attracts people to also want to be a promoter. And that's how it's done.
So did you ever have to do anything that made you at that time feel uncomfortable, that you thought, I don't really like what I'm doing, but I have to do it as part of the game, or I'm told to do it?
I think when I look back now, I mean, I see my anniversaries on Facebook. Honestly, Hannah, I'm so embarrassed. And when you're in it, no, because you're so in it and you're surrounded by so much positivity. You know, these people become your friends. You're spending your, you know, I would sit on webinars with people all day while they're hitting the phone and I'm hitting the phone. You're on social media, you're doing a post, you're doing this, you're doing that. Who are you going to call next? When's your shake party? When's your next one? You know, it was like a continuous, and you know, there were times where I was on calls when I should have been dealing with my toddlers. And there were times when we were out for family dinners and I would leave the table to go and do a call in the street because my Vi friends were way more important than my family. And I think there was one particular occasion where I left the restaurant for my daughter's birthday to go and do this call that everybody was on, and it had to be done. You have to be on a call at 6 o'clock every night, and you're going to be the top 1%. And they build this almost like panic and fear of loss into you, that if you don't go on that call because it's your daughter's birthday, then that's actually going to have a huge impact on your business. And it's actually not true.
You know, it's something I hear a lot when I speak to people who've left companies. They say the same thing. They dread their Facebook anniversaries coming up for that reason. But also, it's very hard for them to speak out. Sometimes when I talk to people, it's the first time they've really opened up, and they say that they're really they feel ashamed of it. And it's not their shame, because you were basically, you bought into a cult. And actually interesting, that's one of the things that cults and abusive relationships do. They use your time up so that all your time is consumed with that, and it takes you away from the other things in your life. So they have less importance.
Yeah.
It's like brainwashing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think also in terms of, you know, if you think about my state of mind when I joined, my husband works away in Wales Monday to Friday. You know, he came home on a weekend and was exhausted because he was providing and working on a project that, you know, he needed to provide for the family and be in Wales. I was at home with 2 young children and a teenager, and I was not in my network friends. So it was perfect for me to get sucked into this cult of positive people that made me feel good, made me feel great, knew that, you know, they were going to put me on a huge pedestal. Lisa, you can do this, you're going to earn 10 grand, you've got to do A, B, C, D. And, you know, it even got to the point where I was jumping on airplanes and traveling around the world that my husband was paying for.
And how did that affect your marriage? You know, because I do hear that quite a lot. Again, that people say that the impact on their family relationships and friends. So did it affect your friendships, your marriage?
So friendships, not so, because obviously, you know, where I am now, you know, my network of friends was in Leicester. So, but what I did do was stand at the school gates. You know, I was never going to make friends because I was hitting on mums at the school gates that were picking up their kids, and there was me, you know, with my t-shirt and my brand, and I was like handing out samples and trying to get people to come to, almost in desperation, to try and get people to come to the challenge party. And then I think, you know, my husband was constantly telling me that I needed to wake up and smell the coffee. Thankfully, he was not sucked into it. He could see it for what it was. You know, I was flying to America and Amsterdam, and I was going to people's houses and staying over and not coming home. So yeah, absolutely. It had an effect on us as a family. And thankfully, Paul then left Wales after 3 years and then took a year out. And then I think because he was then at home and around, it kind of, I was able to recognize that actually, and the money was drying up. So this 10 grand never happened, just to obviously put that out there. And I earned some good money on some months, and, you know, way more than the typical average to start with. But what I was doing is that I was actually buying business kits myself with false names to hit the next rank. Because to hit the next rank would earn me the next level of income. So it didn't matter that I would buy 3 business packs with product in that I could sell anyway or use myself. So actually, when people hit those ranks, it's not even a true rank that they've hit. And yeah, it had a huge impact on the fact that I spent way more time with this group of people than I did with my family and my husband. And so glad that I was able to see it before it actually was too late.
And what was it that, I mean, kudos on you on getting out, because I know from talking to you about how hard it is to do that and have that light shined on it, because you are so immersed in it. So obviously, you know, Paul coming home and being at home was part of the catalyst. But how did you, what happened? Was there any particular thing that you can say that helped you to see it for what it was?
I think I hit, because a lot of network marketing companies have the car level. So I hit the car level. And what they don't tell you on the car level is that you have to continually hit that rank. You never lose that status, but you have to earn that rank every month for the car to be paid. Well, I already had a car, so I wasn't going to go to the next BMW garage, which some people did do. Had I have done that and gone and leased a car for £400-500 a month, I probably only would have had it paid for 2 months, and then I would have had to have paid that myself. So I think what happened is that the business started to have cracks that I was more probably astute to notice. You know, people didn't look like the ambassadors were earning money. Some of them were thinking about getting other jobs. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, why would you need to go and get another job when you're this ambassador on all this money? And I think then I started to see my income drop. And I think it was just a case of Paul being around, being at home, and I didn't have that kind of yearn to be into this, you know, positive group of people, I guess. And I just think I was very lucky that you know, it earned me nice money some months, but then realistically, when you add it all up annually, I don't think it actually made me any money. It just looked like I was earning money in those months.
And yeah, so what do you think, if you, it's quite hard to kind of to think back on, but if you take into account like the money you spent traveling, like, you know, say Paul would pay for flights and things like that, if you put all the money that you earned in sales and then all the money that you spent on the business kits, on the flights, do you think that you ended up in the black or the red?
I'm definitely made a loss, because when you add up the flights and the trips and the petrol and, you know, closing the month, which you had to go and do in somebody's house and sleep over, and the food and take away the wine, and loss in a year.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. It's got a bit it's gone a bit funny. I'm supposed to have super fast broadband, but it's not very fast today. Can you hear me all right now?
Talking about. I can hear you.
Brilliant. So yeah, and that's the thing, is that often people will look at the kind of the paychecks they get in and just look at those. They don't add up all that money. And one of the things, I actually created a spreadsheet and put it as a link in an article, and really asked anyone, if you're in an MLM, just keep this spreadsheet, keep it every month, record everything that comes in and everything that goes out, including, like you say, the petrol, the bottle of wine that you take to someone's house if they're hosting a party, because then you'll really see if it is making you money. You'll see it's making you money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's what they don't teach you is that basic management of, you know, your accounting for your business. And, you know, also that, you know, if you are earning decent money, then it's taxable. And so therefore you've got to make sure that you're putting enough of that away. And, you know, they don't teach you how to do a basic P&L. They don't teach you, you know, any of those basic principles. They might mention that you need to get an accountant, you know, at the end of the year and just be careful, but that's all that's kind of pushed out. So it's, you know, you're all given everything on a plate, because you're given a website, you're given your back office, you're given literature, you're given a product, and you're taught how to hit the phone and kind of just be that annoying person and push yourself out in the world. But actually they don't, you know, they're not teaching you how to run you know, a startup, if you were to start a business on your own.
And what happened when you left then? When you told your upline you were going, were they happy? Did they try and convince you to stay? Did they stay friends with you?
So there was an American contact that was attached to me, who I don't think was a great lover of me anyway. So I was defriended on Facebook. You know, if you're not part of my team, then, you know, sorry, we can't be friends. And actually she then went there, and I think because the company was coming to a fragmented end, I think it just helped me almost, you know, I mean, I have heard horror stories, and I think I was one of the lucky ones that I was able to just literally drift away. Paul and I have always wanted to have a business together, and it just was the right time for me to say, you know, look, I tried this. But, you know, actually it was smoke and mirrors and total, you know, lies, and just not the truth in terms of what was portrayed about this particular MLM business.
So what would you say to someone who is in a company now? So let's say someone who's in quite deep, that still has that hope, they're still kind of believing that it's going to work, they're still seeing the success of their upline or kind of perceived success. Do you think there's anything that their family and friends can say to them that can help them see the light?
I think it's very difficult, because when you're in it, you can't see it, and you get taught that, you know, stay away from the negative energy, keep away from the negative people around you, and, you know, you end up being that kind of hater of other people that even try to mention, you know, your business and what you're doing. And I would just, you know, maybe suggest to anybody to run a basic P&L on your business in terms of what has it cost you. You know, are you being truthful to yourself? Are you buying yourself to that next rank? Are you, you know, how many clients have you got, and you know, and are those clients then turning into promoters, because that is the model that is supposed to work. But if you're doing what I'm doing, where you're actually buying, you know, fictitious promoters to hit rank, and actually your ins and outs don't balance, and if you imagine that you put all that effort and energy into something else, you know, then surely that you would get a huge return on a, you know, on a business that is actually truly yours, where you are, you know, the owner and the founder of that business with that effort and energy, rather than putting it into, you know, somebody else's business effectively, which is what you're running.
And in fact, you'd actually, even if you just got a job minimum wage, you'd still be earning more than in the MLM anyhow. So
100%. And I think the problem with the MLM products, even though some of them are okay, is that the margins are so high that you are, you know, you're actually trying to sell a very expensive product. And unless you're in that kind of high net worth network, you know, then really, you know, having a good hard look at who is going to buy your products as well. Because, you know, when you're talking 60-70 pounds for a product that, you know, maybe your typical average person cannot afford, then your business is not going to succeed anyway.
And often I find that you'll see people who are joining an MLM because they are struggling financially. You know, they may have lost a job, or they're in a very low income job and they can't afford their outgoings. And then you see them join a company where their products are comparatively overpriced when you look at high street alternatives. And and also you see them personally being told to be a product of the product, so they have to personally consume them. And it doesn't really make any sense. It seems really sad that they are forced to purchase products. And I don't know if you ever did this. I know many people as well, you'll have personal volumes to hit a month, and if you're not selling them, then you have to buy them yourself to maintain that. Is that something that you personally experienced?
I did. So you have to hit personal volume, and obviously they expected you to have hit and sold potentially 3 new promoters a month. So, and obviously when you're buying those business kits, that's product. And yeah, if you were short, you would then buy, they did supplementary vitamins and, protein bars. So I would end up, with an endless box of cookies or vitamins to hit your own personal, your own personal volume. So I think in some respects, although you think, well, actually, I'm going to use that product anyway, that is still an expense that you didn't need to invest it in your business. But when you're in this situation, Hannah, you do not see it like that. All you see is that you are the 1%. You get told you're the 1%, and yes, I am going to do it, and nobody's going to stop me. And my husband did say to me one day, Lisa, it's like putting a penny in the slot. When you go to the arcades and you put a penny in the slot, just going to do another one, or just another one. Oh, come on, kids, just another one. Let's go and change £1. Let's do another one. And you keep going. And he was like, how long are you going to keep going for? You're putting these pennies in the slot and you're not getting any return. And thankfully, and because he is quite savvy, and he's a great businessman, and not everybody's got that mentor either. That if you are a little bit more vulnerable, and maybe you love all the kind of attention and everything else that you get, because you certainly do get attention, that is fact, is that you've not got anybody that is a sound business mind to be in the background and be in your ear, then maybe you wouldn't be as lucky as I was to be able to step away, I guess.
No. And actually, and interestingly, you talk about the penny in the slot, and it's that sunk cost fallacy, isn't it? Because like, I love those amusement arcade slot machines, and I am a sucker for the pennies, and you see, like, it's just teetering on the edge, and that's the idea, like, well, I've already put in 40p. And I'm that close, I can see it's getting closer to the edge. And people stay in thinking, like, and I think it's that same thing where the uplines are the kind of teaching on the edge. Look at all the wealth that we have. Yeah. And you've already put in a year, maybe you've already lost maybe £1,000. You think, but my payday is going to come soon. So you keep putting more and more in, and encourage you to stay, because you think, if I leave now, I've just lost that £1,000 and I've got nothing. But if I stay, I might make it.
100%. And it is that fear of missing out, because if you left, what if? It is always the what if, isn't it? Oh my God, if I'd have just stayed another 12 months, and trying to, but some people don't ever get started in MLM. Some people buy their packs, their business packs, they're going to get started. Then they have that panic when they get home, and then they never get started. And actually, they used to have a name, is the 80-20 rule, but they were probably way more savvy, and they are the savvy ones. That never get started. Actually, they had way more business sense than I did, when I was like, woohoo, where do I sign? There's our money, I've just started a new business, which is exactly. And I think if I could get drawn into this kind of opportunity, then it must be easy to draw people in. It must be.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because you're not necessarily typical of a lot of people that I see joining them, in that you are an entrepreneur, you have business experience, you are married as well to an entrepreneur, and a successful entrepreneur. So it's really to talk to you and your perspective. And if you can get sucked in, then anyone can. What do you think? What's been your biggest lesson? I mean, I always think that when you go through something difficult, it's horrible at the time, but when you look back, you're always appreciative. You've taken something from it that's made your life today better as a result. Is there anything you can think of, not necessarily because of the MLM, but from that experience, that it's changed you in a positive way? Has it made you a better businesswoman because you know what not to do, for example?
Yes, I mean, I think it made me start that business that I started, so I'm very grateful on that level, and I just think that it makes you understand the differences between what it's really like to start a business from fresh and find a product and launch it and go to market, which is not what network marketing is about at all. And I think that I mean, I earn okay money in network marketing. I think my best month was £2,000, but when I averaged it out, it was £800 a month. So I was more than the national average, I suppose. But I just, it's made me realise that I'm probably harsher I probably wouldn't allow myself, I don't get sucked into nonsense anymore. And when I see a lot of stuff on social media, you know, I have this phrase that is like, of course you are, is what I kind of say all the time. Of course you are, because it's not true, you know. And I just, it's probably made me harder, and I, you know, and for that might have made me a slightly better business woman, maybe.
Brilliant.
Yeah, of course you are. We say that a lot in our house.
Do you know what that is? That goes around when I see stuff as well. And like, you know, I've earned £10,000 a month. I'm driving this Porsche that's paid for by company. Yeah, of course.
Of course you have.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for sharing your story. And I hope when people are watching this that they find it helpful and it gives them a greater insight into the reality of what it's like to join an MLM.
Yeah, I think, you know, there are some better ones out there than others, and I think it is key that people do their research. And I think if you're a stay-at-home mum and you just want £200 a month, then, you know, there is nothing wrong with maybe doing these types of businesses. But if you're aspirationally attracted to money and you are like me and you want to earn 5-10 grand a month, then, you know, network marketing is not the answer.
And I would say, actually, I mean, even for the £200 a month, the loss rate in MLMs is 99.6%. Once, I say with you, you know, you were earning an average of £800 a month. When you took into account your business expenses, it wasn't there. And I think if people really start your own business, if you really want to start a business, do Amazon drop shipping, look at Alibaba and find products and sell, make your own, like, you know, products. You're far better off doing that than joining a company where you're likely to get sucked in and probably not earning. And I do reiterate your advice that you gave, that if you are joining and you've been sold into the idea of an MLM, or you're in one already, keep a profit and loss sheet, keep a monthly sheet whereby you record everything that goes out, even down to the coffees that you buy and things like that, and everything that comes in, and also record your time, because work out how many hours you spent a month and how much income, so what your hourly rate is, so that you'll quickly, if it is genuinely a good opportunity, you'll see it, but equally you'll discover it's not.
And I think the key as well is just to have a good hard look at, you know, how you are reacting in your family as well, you know, and how you are maybe not spending time with your husband or your children because you're just doing another post, and you know, that's what I was like. I phone finger and literally I was with people, but I actually wasn't. And I just think you can't get that time back either. So I think if anybody is on the edge right now of, you know, should they stay or should they go, then you know, the answer is there. You just have to have a good hard look at what's been going on.
Definitely. Thank you very much, and I'm very pleased that you now have success and
thank you.
And you spend time with your children on their birthdays.
Yes, no, I do. And I don't at the table any longer when the phone rings. I actually enjoy my family and my, you know, my meals out tremendously now.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you.